Then I'm recording. The recording is in progress. You have been informed by the Pennsylvania law, Keith. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll start at the first one, and then we'll just keep going. So,
Yeah.
so the games that I have here on the sheet, I have Shippensburg at Cedar Cliff. I should have went over this before I started hitting record.
That's all
Shippensburg
right.
at Cedar Cliff, and then Manheim Township, Cumberland Valley, Warwick, Cocalico, Central Dolphin at Central York, and York Catholic at Lancaster Catholic.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Waynesboro and Spring Grove. Those are two playoff teams. That's just one game I want to mention. Waynesboro at Spring Grove at the end of that. That's going to be a fun one to watch. So
Sure. I mean, we had 50 games, so it was kind of hard to,
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah, we're going to overlook somebody.
So all the games we had highlighted, you pick. So
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So ready? 3,
Yep.
2, 1. Welcome back, everyone. It is time for a tradition here at Fox 43, and it is our Frenzy 5 to discuss that. I'm going to redo this. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everyone? Andrew Callista from Fox 43 Sports, and we have a tradition here. It is called the Frenzy 5, where we like to highlight 5 of our biggest games in the area. And to do that, I bring in Keith Schwager. Keith, you are an extraordinaire when it comes to breaking down all the X's and O's in the area for high school football. So, Keith, welcome back to the Frenzy 5.
Thanks. It's great to be here, Andrew, and let's get it rolling. It's an exciting time of the year. When you get into week 1, everybody is always really fired up, and I am too.
What would Aaron Boone say about the high school football season, Keith? It's right here. It's right in front of us. So yes, it is. It is an exciting time. Our Frenzy game of the week is a great one. Shippensburg goes to Cedar Cliff. This is a second round District 3 5A rematch to start the year. Shippensburg came in 10-0 last year off their regular season and their first round playoff win. Cedar Cliff knocks them off in a close 10-7 game. What do you see in this game?
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, it was kind of a bittersweet ending to the season for Shippensburg last year. Perfect regular season. They win their playoff opener, and then they just get stunned in the second round. So I know that stung for them for most of the offseason, so they got to be pretty excited going back into this one. Of course, it's week 1. We don't really know everything about these teams yet, but we do know Shippensburg is going to have to replace their defensive end, Anthony Smith, who is now applying his trade at the University of Minnesota. So that's a big loss. They've lost some other guys on defense as well, but they do bring back plenty of skill guys on offense, including their quarterback, Tucker Chamberlain, who had a decent year for them last year, 1,600 yards passing, like 14 touchdowns. So offensively, they should be set. Cedar Cliff, they ended up losing to the eventual champ Exeter Township in the playoffs last year. So a good season for them. They finished 9-3. They are also filling some holes. Jonte Morris, their 2,100 yard running back last year, he's gone. His 23 touchdowns are gone with him. He's at Millersville University now, my alma mater. But they do bring back plenty of guys on offense as well. Ethan Dorrell, the quarterback, he threw for 1,700 yards last year. So offensively, they should be set. And like I said, it's week 1. We don't really know a whole lot about these teams yet, but it's a pretty good matchup right out the gate for our game of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to start the season with a second round playoff matchup, a 3-point second round playoff matchup is pretty awesome, especially when both quarterbacks are coming back. And I was at a Shippensburg practice the other day. Coach Faust, the message there was they got to get off the ball the way they want to run their offense, but he's ecstatic to have his quarterback back. Talking to Coach Gillen up at Cedar Cliff on media day, he said the same exact thing, that to have that leadership coming back at the most important position, especially when you lose a guy like Morris, he's excited about that. And both coaches are stoked that they're starting the year with a matchup that gets them ready for the playoffs. And they both cautioned against putting in too much eggs into the basket mentally, because there's a good chance the game's not going to come out the way they want it when you have, two very evenly matched schools that they got to be able to focus in week 2, no matter what happens. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. And you mentioned Anthony Smith. Just want to point everybody over to fox43.com. We caught up with Minnesota Golden Gophers coach PJ Fleck and Gophers quarterback Tanner Morgan out at Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis, all that stuff and what they had to say about Anthony Smith is available on FOX43.com. So a lot of games, Keith, 50 games in the area. We can't pick them all as our Frenzy game of the week, but we can pick them for our Frenzy 5. Manheim Township at Cumberland Valley. That got some serious consideration. Coach Josh Oswald has the Eagles turned around and buying into his direction, that he's going from that triple option to that spread offense. Coach Mark Evans looking for a little bit of a rebound with the Blue Streaks this year, both programs with high expectations.
Yeah, and you mentioned before how important it is to have a starting quarterback coming back, and that's the case for Manheim Township. Hayden Johnson threw for 2,000 yards last year. He is back. You know, Township's one of those programs they just seem to reload. It was a bit of a down year for them last year, I want to say. They did make the playoffs, but the standard that they've set at Manheim Township, a 6-5 overall record to finish the season, that's not what they're about. They want to be at like 7, 8, 9 wins most of the year. So they're looking to kind of have a little bit of a bounce back year, and they got their starting quarterback from last year to help lead the way. In Cumberland Valley, of course, to me, you mentioned the offense, but where they're going to get it done this year is on the other side of the ball on defense. A lot of experience coming back there. So this is an intriguing matchup just in that you have a 2,000-yard passer going up against a very skilled, very tough, very experienced defense. So great game right out the gate for both teams. A good challenge for both of them.
Absolutely. And those are two of the powerhouses in the district. I mean, every single year you look to see them. I know Cumberland Valley's been down the last couple of years, but every single year you expect to see Manheim Township, at least in the second round of the playoffs, Cumberland Valley, the same exact thing. So again, you're starting off with the big boy football right there. Warwick and Cocalico. That's kind of an old LL Section 2 rivalry right there. You know, the LL's been redone, massive conference. It's a super league. All this talk about money and ESPN contracts with the Big Ten and the SEC. ESPN needs to throw some money to the LL. 37 teams, I believe, is the final number, but you know, I only count to like 25, and that's what I know to count to. So Warwick and Cocalico, those are two the established programs in the LL, not in the same section anymore, and don't have that yearly matchup, but this is a good one.
Yeah, and you mentioned about how coaches don't want teams to put too much emphasis on week one. Mm-hmm. Well, this still is an important week for both of these programs because their schedules are ridiculous this year. Warwick, right out the gate, they're playing 8 games on the road this year because their home stadium's undergoing some renovations. So they're the road warriors this year. This is the first of 8 road trips for them. They're in a new look Section 2 now. Manheim Central's still there. You know, they're always the powerhouse, but now they got to contend with Governor Mifflin and Exeter Township. Exeter, of course, won the district title in 5A last year, and Governor Mifflin is, even without their running back, they're still Governor Mifflin. They're still going to be tough. So that section is a beast. So you want to get some non-league wins under your belt right away because the schedule is only going to get tougher as the year goes on for Warwick. And then Cocalico, they're in Section 4 now in the LL League. They're in there with Berks Catholic, Wyomissing, who is a 2-time state finalist, and Lampeter Strasburg, that is a perennial District 3 title contender. So again, that is a loaded section right there. So
I'm sweating.
You got to get these wins where you can get them. And, you know, if it starts at week 1, it starts at week 1. If they're looking for a district playoff berth like Cocalico always is, you know, they got to get off to a good start here as well. So big game for both teams right off the bat. They are this is kind of a neighborhood rivalry, so there's that to factor in as well. So very good matchup, a good LL League battle, an old school LL League battle in a new look league.
I just want to point out that there's going to be 2 different styles of offense in this one. Warwick's going to be throwing around the football for Coach Bob Locker, and Cocalico still going to be running that triple option, and that those guys buy into it. And I would just want to say to the fans, even though my taxes go to Cocalico, I'm a big fan of Coach Bob Locker, so I have no rooting interest in this game at all. Another good one, Central Dolphins, Central York. I mean, a lot of storylines in this one. You know, CD trying to make it back. I mean, they've recently been to a state final. Central York's recently been to a state final during the COVID year with Bo Prabula as quarterback. He's not there anymore, but it's Central Dolphin coming down on a Saturday afternoon to take on Central York here.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good game. And as you mentioned, Central York is starting life without Bo Prabula, who had a brilliant high school career for the Panthers, set every standard that you could set at quarterback. So he's gone. His understudy, Nasir Still, is the guy that's taken over, and talk about some big shoes to fill. But the good thing for him is they've got a lot around him. So I don't think he's going to be expected to, be a superstar. I don't want to say he's going to be a game manager either, but it does take some of the pressure off when you have so much experience around him on that offense that he can maybe, just settle into his role a little bit. And as you mentioned, Central Dauphin not in the playoffs last year. That's the first time in 18 years that they didn't make it. Their season got a little whacked by COVID last year. They were 2 games short. They finished 5-3, but were on the outside looking in of the 6A playoffs. So they're looking to get the train back on the tracks again, and they appear to have the squad to do it. So, as we said, another really good matchup right out the gate on a Saturday afternoon game. Going to be a good one.
Coach Mack was not happy with how the Rams season ended last year. I believe it was 2 straight losses to Cumberland Valley in a rivalry game, kind of an upset right there. It's a great win for Cumberland Valley, and also CD East got a win in the Battle of Landis. So I know the Rams were not happy talking to their players. Being around Coach Mack, it's like, yes, you have a standard. You get one of those wins, you're probably in the playoffs, and they feel like they should have had both of those wins. So our final Frenzy 5 game of the week: York Catholic, Lancaster Catholic. Little York Adams LL rivalry, little Catholic school rivalry right there. And the big news out of this one is Eric Depew has been very successful at York Catholic. He's gone. He's up at his alma mater, Redland, now as the head coach. So York Catholic they were a little bit surprised with it, but, kind of expected it when the job opened up there. It's tough replacing the head coach and moving forward in year 1.
Yeah, but they have their athletic director, Brad Hayek, who's going to take over. He's a longtime assistant there. He ran the defense. The offense coordinator is still in place. And more importantly, they bring a lot back as well. So they have an experienced team. These kids know what to do. They know what the standard is. They know what the tradition is there. So I don't anticipate it being too much of an adjustment under a new coach. It's not like they brought somebody in from the outside. Hayek is going to come in. He understands the standard there, the expectations on them. So I really don't anticipate that big of a difference for them without Depew. Lancaster Catholic, this is one of the LO League's more gloried programs from like a decade or 12 years ago, a 2-time state champion. They've kind of fallen on some hard times since then. They've been hovering around that 500 mark. Last year, they made the playoffs in districts in spite of a 4-6 record. Didn't stay there very long. They got knocked out in the first round. So they're trying to turn that program around. They're dealing with smaller numbers than they've been used to over the years. So it's going to be a tough game for them right off the bat. But, it's a good matchup of 2 Catholic programs from the YAIAA and the LL League. So I'm looking forward to seeing this one as well.
Absolutely right there. And one thing when you're talking about the replacement of Coach Eric Depew down there, it almost reminds me of Butch Davis from the Miami Hurricanes going to coach the Browns, and Larry Coker coming in, and everybody's back. And next thing you know, Larry Coker has a national championship for Miami. I know it's not really the same thing. I just wanted to kind of throw that out. One game I just wanted to point out for fans to watch for: Waynesboro and Spring Grove. That is those are playoff teams right there from last year. So definitely keep an eye on that. And I encourage everybody to get out, support the high school football players, support the band, support the cheerleaders. If you're in the LL and you have these new teams from the Berks League coming down, you get a chance to watch Exeter, Governor Mifflin, Wyomissing, definitely do that. Just look at the size of the Exeter team. 5 of the biggest guys you'll see. I was impressed at media day. I said to Exeter's coach, I said, "Did you bring the biggest guys on your team?" He goes, "No, we left 2 of them at home." So that's what it was. And some of the coaches in the LL were like, "Do you see the size of those guys, Andrew?" I was like, "Yes, I'm ashamed of myself and my body stature." So, hey, Keith, we're going to do this every single week. So we really appreciate you doing it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. And high school football season is right here. It's right in front of us. Don't forget the Frenzy tomorrow at 6:00. Todd Sadowski, Evan Brooks, Alex Colley, myself, Lindsey Barna are going to be there. We have Nittany Game Week coming on right after that at 6:30 right here on Fox 43, and an expanded Frenzy. Keith, what do you think about the expanded Frenzy at 11 o'clock, a full half hour of high school football highlights and storylines to close out your Friday night?
Well, you know what? With all the teams that are now in the Lancaster-Lebanon League and the size of the Mid-Penn and York Adams, I mean, there's a lot of ground to cover. So I think it's a good thing you have the expanded format. You're going to need all those 30 minutes just to get all the highlights in.
I wanted more. I wanted 55 minutes. I wanted to say, "Hey, news, we got this. You guys take an early vacation." But, everybody needs the news. They need to know what's going on with some of the important things in the area. So Evan Forrester and his news crew gets everything going at 10 o'clock. on Friday nights, and then we take over at basically, I'll say 10:45. I like to hit the quarter hours and stuff like that, but 11 o'clock, a full half hour of high school football. Got to be excited for that. Keith, thanks a lot. Looking forward to week number 2. Cool, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no sweat. I'll once it shows up in RVR, just tell Tom to let me know where it is, and I'll make sure it gets posted.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right.
I'll see you.
Take it easy.